This morning on the Romney campaign conference call, former governor of New Hampshire John Sununu brought out the big battery attack against Obama. Let's listen to how they're trying to shift this away from what seems to be the serious embarrassment of taxes not paid to something a little more ethnic sometime. If you don't hear it here, I hear it. Let's listen.
The president clearly demonstrated that he has absolutely no idea how the American economy functions. The men and women all over America who have worked hard to build these businesses, their businesses, from the ground up, is how our economy became the envy of the world. It is the American way, and I wish this president would learn how to be an American.
I wish this president would learn how to be an American. Well, that's an odd thing to say about a guy who's basically a stellar American who went to the best schools, worked his way up, won a political office time and time again by being gutsy to run for it. Well, minutes later, a reporter on this call asked Sununu, the former governor, to clarify his comment about the need for the opponent, President Obama, to learn how to be an American. Let's watch.
What I thought I said, but I guess I didn't say, is that the president has to learn the American formula for creating business. The American formula for creating business is not to have government create business. The American formula for creating business that I wish he would get comfortable with is to create a climate in which entrepreneurs can thrive. If I didn't give all that detail, I apologize.
It wasn't about a lack of detail. It was an insinuation that somehow, again and again, they keep pounding this note. I wish the president would learn how to be an American. I've never seen this in American politics, where one candidate runs against the other guy saying, you're not really one of us. You're not really in this campaign because you're not really a part of this country. Anyway, Obama campaign spokeswoman Liz Smith fired out this response. The Romney campaign is officially going off the deep end. The question is what else they'll pull to avoid answering serious questions about Romney's tenure at Bain Capital and investments in foreign tax havens and offshore accounts. Let me go back to Bob Costa. This shift in focus, once again, from the debate issues about how Romney made his money, his claim to greatness as a business expert and an economic expert, to the old, I would call it the ethnic factor. This guy's really not one of us. What do they mean by learn how to be an American?
Chris, I disagree respectfully that it's an ethnic play here. I think it's obviously a poor choice of words by John Sununu. What I'm more interested in is the role of John Sununu, this former White House chief of staff for Bush 41. He's been Romney's biggest attack dog in this campaign. He's giving Romney an edge in a week when Romney really needs an edge, a change in the topic. And so you see, have Sununu out there trying to push that Obama's dishonest, that Obama's a liar. He's throwing around these phrases. This captures reporters' attention. I think it is a play by the Romney campaign to get something else on the radar besides Romney's tax returns, but I do not think this was an ethnic play, Chris.
Bob, stop there. So as I said to you, why don't you learn how to be an American?
It's a poor phrase.
No, what does it mean?
What does it mean?
Yeah. Is it a poor choice of words, or what does it mean? Why don't you learn how to be an American, Costa?
I think it means you made a mistake in that phrase, and I think it's obviously not a phrase.
What do you mean you made a mistake? I consider it a serious slur against somebody, a fellow American, to say they're not really an American.
I mean, if you meant that in a direct way, it would be a mistake.
You want to play it again?
No, I'm not disagreeing with you that it's a bad phrase and that if Sununu meant it directly, it was obviously a very poor choice of words and a mistake.
Yeah, well, let's go to Maggie Haberman.
Let me tell you, real quick, I was on the call, and it was an economic argument he was making. I was listening to the whole call.
You know, if that weren't so harmonious with the kind of stuff that Limbaugh put out the other day, he hates America, the stuff that Bachman's been putting out, Maggie, over and over again, this sense, and it feeds into that 48% of the American people in our latest Wall Street Journal, NBC poll, that are not willing to say this guy's the religion he says he is. I've never seen this in politics, where people have a basic mistrust of his national identity, his religious statements. They keep going back to this, learn how to be an American, stop hating America. We got the Muslim Brotherhood running around here in the government. This government. We have DeMint of South Carolina the other day saying this is the most anti-American administration in history. And what's going on here, Maggie?
Look, I think that, as you said, there are people who think that this was deliberate. As Bob said, there are people who think it was accidental. There is a reason it blew up on Twitter while the call was going on, which was that there has been, by some on the right, a move to sort of paint the president as other. The Romney campaign has publicly rejected that in the past. I know Sununu apologized on the call, but there has been this sort of, whether it is about race or not about race, it is a way of making him seem sort of not one of us, sort of suspicious. And I think that this plays into that. Again, I think that, as Bob said, this was an effort to try to get Mitt Romney back on offense, whether it was an intentional statement or not. That is now the result of it, and this is now what is breaking through, countering some of the noise about Bain.
Well, Bob, let me get back to your magazine, the National Journal. I read it growing up at National Review. I read it growing up as a kid. And one thing I liked about William F. Buckley is that he took the ethnic, the xenophobic aspect of conservative out of the movement. He said it's not fair to be anti-Semitic. It's not fair to be anti-foreign. We're going to talk ideology in this country. You're not suspecting here that maybe Sununu's playing that game, the dirty old game of the hard right, of making people's nationality and their loyalty suspect as part of winning the argument?
I couldn't agree more about Buckley's leadership, and I think we still try to follow it today at National Review. But I think when I was on that call, Chris, in all honesty, I did not hear Sununu trying to have a dog whistle, trying to make some kind of covert argument about ethnicity. I heard him making a mistake in a fumble on an economic argument, trying to paint Obama as a lefty in economics. I'm not saying it was well phrased, but I did not hear some suspicious game going on. Maybe I'm wrong, but I did not hear that.
Well, let me tell you, let me correct you, sir. You can be on the left on economics and still be a good American. Paul Krugman's a good American. You just made that mistake again. You can't say you're not American if you're what you just called a lefty. People, Keynesian economics is considered lefty by some people on the right. They don't believe the government should compensate when consumers stop spending and business stops investing. I happen to disagree. I went to grad school in economics. That's what we believe. Keynesians believe. But you can't just call that anti-American.
I wasn't calling it anti-American. I was just trying to report on what I heard on Sununu's call.
You said that Sununu was trying to say he was a lefty by saying he's not an American.
Well, that's what Sununu was trying to say. That's what Sununu was trying to say.
You can't call somebody who disagrees with you about economics or politics some kind of foreigner or anti-American.
Couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree more,
thank you. We're on the same page, maybe. Anyway, thank you, Robert Costa. Please come back. Good reporting. Maggie Haberman, as always. Coming up, yesterday was Rush Limbaugh who said President Obama hates this country. Today, as we reported, John Sununu said the president needs to learn how to be an American. Well, why does the right hate President Obama so much that it keeps playing this game? Is it as much about who he is, his background, as it is about what he does in politics? Also,